Good evening, everyone. It is Monday, May 5th, 2025. Happy Cinco de Mayo. And this is a meeting of the Common Council of the City of West Bend, more than 24 hours in advance of tonight's meeting. Notice of the time, place, date, and subject matter of the meeting was posted in accordance to Wisconsin state statutes. Clerk, can you confirm the meeting was properly posted?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. You've all picked a nice night to be here tonight. We're welcoming new members to our city team. And we also have our West Bend Police Color Guard who will present our colors tonight. Please stand. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Order. Ready. Cut. Forward. Up. Marching file. Ready. Set. Colors. Aren't they great? I think I said color guard. They are not our color guard. They don't twirl flags or anything like that. They are our honor guard, and we are honored to have them here tonight. Thank you, gentlemen. The first thing I'd like to do tonight is item number 4, which is a proclamation for National Foster Care Month. Whereas the month of May 2025 is National Foster Care Month to raise awareness about the needs of children and youth in foster care, acknowledge foster parents and caregivers, and encourage community involvement in supporting these children. And whereas there are almost 400,000 children in foster care in the United States and over 7,000 in the state of Wisconsin. And whereas approximately 6% of all children in the United States will find themselves in the foster care system before they turn the age of 18. And whereas the Washington County Foster Closet serves the county's youth and families by offering clothing and resources while providing support to foster families and bringing awareness in the community. And whereas in 2024, the Foster Closet provided assistance to children more than 750 times, distributing over 11,000 essential items to foster children. And whereas the Foster Closet is staffed 100% by volunteers, and all items distributed are donated by generous community members. And now, therefore, I, Joel Ongert, the mayor of the city of West Bend, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2025 as National Foster Care Month in the city of West Bend, and recognize the Washington County Foster Closet's work to provide resources and support to foster children in our community. We have members of the Washington County Foster Closet here with us tonight. Please stand and be recognized. Thank you for all your support. I have another proclamation I'd like to read tonight, item number 2. Police Week Proclamation. Whereas Congress has designated May 15th of each year as National Peace Officers Memorial Day and the calendar week surrounding it to be Police Week. This is a time to honor the memory of those officers who have sacrificed their lives in service to the public. And whereas, more than ever, our nation depends upon local law enforcement as our first line of defense, and it is important for citizens to know and understand the duties, responsibilities, and challenges of our law enforcement officers and agencies. And whereas we applaud our law enforcement officers for recognizing their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting people against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression or intimidation. And whereas our citizens value the courage and devotion with which our law enforcement officers maintain peace and security. Whereas on Police Officers Memorial Day and during Police Week, we express our gratitude for the selfless public servants who wear the badge and put themselves in harm's way to keep us safe. And we pay respect for those who lost their lives in the line of duty. Now therefore, I, Joel Ongert, the mayor of the city of West Bend, do hereby recognize May 11th through the 17th, 2025, as Police Week in the city of West Bend. And I encourage all citizens to recognize and honor the service and sacrifice of law enforcement officers in our community and in the communities across the nation by flying their American flag at half-staff in honor of all fallen officers. We have several of our law enforcement officers here tonight. A lot of them are already standing, but please stand and be recognized with our deepest gratitude. I see some members of our Police and Fire Commission here tonight. Thank you for being here tonight. We also have an exciting opportunity here to welcome some new members to our team. And so I am going to invite, yes, thank you, Deputy Chief Beisel to the mic.
Tonight, I have the honor to introduce our 7 newest firefighters. We never had a group this big start before. Currently, they are in their 2nd week of their 3-week academy. So our first firefighter is Trent Halverson. Trent currently lives in West Bend. He's a youth minister for Kettlebrook Church. He was a full-time firefighter, EMT, at Grafton Fire Department. So welcome, Trent. Next firefighter is Devin Bird. Devin comes to us with a firefighting experience from Medford Fire Department, Lisbon Fire Department, and most recently, Merton Fire Department. And he is also an EMT, so welcome. Next is Christine Hallock. Christine is originally from New Hampshire. She got involved with the fire department to spend more time with her dad, who is also a member of the fire department out there, and kind of consumed his life out there, right? Mm-hmm. So she currently lives in Jackson, and she was previously a dispatcher in Waukesha County. So thank you. Next is Brandon Rhodes. I was up at Fond du Lac Sheriff's Department. That's not where I found Brandon. Thank God. But I did find his dad. And I was up there doing a background check on another candidate, and he said, "Hey, my son is retiring from the Marines, and he's looking for a firefighter job." And I'm just kind of like, you know what? I think we got a good thing here. So got to meet Brandon. He took our test, passed everything. So he is a Marine veteran, and he served as a firefighter and EMT in the military. Thank you for your service. Next is Andy David. Andy has previous experience on Colesville Fire Department and Kewaskum Fire Department. He is currently an EMT, but he is also currently in paramedic school at Lakeshore Technical College. Welcome. Christopher Samblin. Chris comes to us from Allenton Fire Department. He was a firefighter EMTA. He was very active and liked by many down there. He came highly recommended from his chiefs and other superiors. He worked hard down there as an EMS captain on their committee. So welcome, Chris. Last but not least, Paul came on. Paul comes to us from Grafton Fire Department, which is currently now Wazaki Central Fire Department. There he served as a part-time firefighter paramedic. So welcome.
Before the clerk gets up here to give them their oath, if there are any family or friends that would like a decent picture, please get out of your chair, come up here to the front so you're not taking a picture of their backs. You can come right up here if you'd like
I don't
to.
want to be in those pictures.
Come right on up. That's fine. All right, Lisa.
While we get a couple pictures, I just want to remind everybody that our ability to hire these individuals was the result of successfully winning a federal SAFER grant for increasing staffing for our fire department. And for our community, they'll have an immediate impact on our ability to respond to emergencies, largely by eliminating the need for us to cross-staff equipment and have all of our equipment staffed 24/7. So this is a big benefit for the community.
Okay. Absolutely. All right, if you all could raise your right hand and repeat after me, please. I state your name. Having been appointed as a firefighter in the city of West Bend, Washington County, swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin, and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability. So help me God. All right, welcome, everybody. Welcome aboard. If you want to shake their hands, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard.
Okay, go ahead. Chief Deering is going to take us through the West Bend Police Department Police Officer Awards. Chief.
Thank you. Thanks very much for letting us take the time to start recognizing the beginnings of the great careers. 7 new firefighters, public safety partners with us. So congratulations to all of you and the families. Well done to get them here. Second, just a quick statement. Next week, as the mayor read in the proclamation, is Police Week. We have several events going on Tuesday night at 11:45. Midnight at Hartford will be the Midnight Piper. Please feel free to join us for that. There's information online. Then on Thursday, the 15th at 7 p.m. at the county fairgrounds is their annual law enforcement memorial ceremony. I'd ask you to all consider please joining us for that. Tonight, we're going to take a few minutes to recognize our department awards. Our department awards is a formalized policy that we have to recognize excellence at the police department. It's made up by a collaborative committee that reviews all the submissions. You're going to see a very few awards tonight. And initially, that made me wonder what was going on, but as we reflected on it, many of the awards that were presented to the committee were referred back to my office for a letter of commendation. It won't be in front of us tonight. And what we really reflected is the committee themselves has embraced our culture of excellence. And no longer were we looking to see things that were above and beyond, because everything is above and beyond. If possible, I would love to give every one of our officers, our dispatchers, our clerks, and our CSOs a department award tonight. But tonight we will recognize several of our employees who went above and beyond. That Cap?
Good evening. On April 1st, 2025, the Department Awards Committee convened pursuant to department policy to review the 2024 Department Award recommendations. The committee is comprised of 1 lieutenant, 1 sergeant, 1 detective, 1 officer, 1 dispatcher, and 1 administrative clerical position. The committee reviewed submissions from fellow employees for actions and performance of duty, which the employee feels deserve special recognition. Tonight, we are presenting 3 life-saving medals. The criteria for a life-saving award or medal are performance or act on or off duty, which through prompt and alert action saves or endeavors to save the life of another. So with that, Sergeant Joseph Wensler and Officer Trevor Gates. Trevor is unable to join us tonight. He is currently in Green Bay at canine training, as he will be our canine officer. So we told him he did not have to drive back from Green Bay tonight to be here. So Sergeant Wensler will receive his award on his behalf. On Tuesday, September 10th, 2024, at 1:27 a.m., Officer Gates and Sergeant Wensler, along with the West Bend Fire and Rescue, were dispatched to a resident on Skyline Drive for a report of a 73-year-old woman who was unresponsive. Officer Gates and Sergeant Wensler arrived to find the woman lying in bed with the husband attempting to perform CPR. Officer Gates quickly assessed the woman and found she was not breathing and did not have a pulse. Officer Gates and Sergeant Wensler moved the woman to the floor, where Officer Gates immediately began CPR. As this was occurring, Sergeant Wensler prepared and applied AED pads to the woman. Officer Gates and Sergeant Wensler administered 1 shock and continued CPR until relieved by our partners at West Bend Fire and Rescue paramedics. The woman was transported to a local hospital for further treatment. A few days later, the husband called the police department to report that his wife was on the road to recovery thanks to the quick action and teamwork of Officer Gates and Sergeant Wensler. Well done. Officer Garrett White. Currently working the road tonight. On Thursday, December 19th, 2024 at 4:15 p.m., a woman called 911 to report her 65-year-old husband had come into the house after clearing snow and had collapsed on the floor. Officer White and Officer Wiki were dispatched to the residence on Bobolink Lane. Officer White arrived first and located the male who was unresponsive, not breathing, and did not have a pulse. Officer White immediately began chest compressions. Officer Wiki arrived and prepared the AED for Officer White to apply to the man. Due to confined spaces, Officer White applied the AED pads and ultimately shocked the man. Officer White continued CPR for over 5 minutes until West Bend Fire and Rescue paramedics arrived on scene and took over. The man had regained a pulse before being transported to a local hospital. The man made a full recovery thanks to Officer White's quick actions and quality CPR.
Pretty impressive, isn't it? Thank you for your service. Happy Police Week. We have prepared what we think is a very exciting agenda tonight. The rest of you might disagree. So if you need to leave, now we're officially in recess of the Common Council meeting, and we're going to start our licensing board here in just a second. Okay. I would like to call to order a meeting of our licensing board. We have our licensing board, Alderman Butchlick, myself, and Alderman Zingsheim here present tonight. Our first item of business is approval of our licensing board regular meeting minutes from April 21st, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Alderman Butchlick and Alderman Zingsheim. Any questions, corrections? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Our next items 2 through 14, published in your packet and on the agenda, are renewals for 2025, 2026. This includes liquor licenses, cigarette tobacco, massage establishments, scrap dealers, secondhand license, amusement devices and arcades. I would like to take all of these at once, if that's okay with the two of you for the renewals.
Yep. Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second for the renewals on our agenda, items 2 through 14. Any comments, questions, discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Item number 15 is a possible recommendation to non-renew a liquor license for Oak and Hog, and I'll turn that over to Ian and our clerk, Lisa.
So procedurally, giving you the background, Oak and Hog originally was granted a reserve license in August of 2022. They have not been open for business since the initial reserve license was issued. Under the city's code, there's a provision that says cessation of operation. Any license not used for the sale of alcohol beverages for a period of 3 consecutive months may be revoked for that reason, or the council may decline to renew any such license. So procedurally, a non-renewal is functionally the same as a revocation. So in order to non-renew a license, we would have to have a full, essentially, revocation hearing, just like if we were revoking somebody's license mid-year. So the reason this is before the license committee today as a potential action item is to either make a recommendation to proceed and have a non-renewal hearing, to set some type of general guidelines, like a, it's not necessarily a conditional recommendation to approve it, but essentially a recommendation to approve the license with some guidance that city staff bring it back for a revocation hearing if progress isn't made, or just a recommendation to renew the license. So the background, I did touch base with the building inspector. I can provide the background if needed. I believe Mr. Gaiman, who is the applicant, is also here to present. So I don't know if there's any questions for me or if we just want to let Mr. Gaiman kind of weigh in on the situation. I will also note that this doesn't happen often, but a similar action was taken with Collins Deck Bar when they had a similar circumstance where it was brought before Common Council as a "why aren't you open?" They gave the explanation, council found it acceptable and said, great, bring it back in, I forget what it was. That was, I think, 10 years ago, but it was 60, 90, 120 days. If it's not open at that point, bring it back for further proceedings. So it would be consistent with past practice to take such an action. So,
James or Mr. Gaiman, if anybody wants to speak on this, please.
Sure, I just have a couple, Mr. Gaiman and then his general contractor will speak. And I've just got a timeline. I know that the city attorney probably recited this timeline as well.
yeah, I can look at this.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll share here.
Thank you.
So as you were advised, back in June of 2022, Mr. Gaiman filed his application for this location, and unfortunately there was a mistake probably on both the city's part and Mr. Gaiman's part as to him not being on the agenda, him not realizing he wasn't on the agenda, and his liquor license was actually given to a different address. He then came and met with the city attorney and the city administrator at that time, and the city recommended and then assisted him in obtaining a reserve license, which he had to pay $10,000 for. So if anyone is, and this will kind of be the common theme, if they think that he's not interested in this project, in this location, I think his actions show the opposite. The city then even assisted him with getting a bounce back grant from the WEDC to help pay for that $10,000 liquor license. He had plans already in the works. He had to put that on hold until he did feel satisfied that he was going to get this reserve liquor license. So in January of 2023, satisfaction that he would in fact get the reserve license, he hired Rayland Contractors to commence construction of an approximate $900,000 project. He got the initial permitting, he got his SBA loan, everything was all good and going, and in fact, Rayland Contractors started work. Unfortunately, in February of 23, all the workers were pulled off the project, and I'll let the principal from Rayland explain exactly what happened, but there was significant structural problems. The building was thought to be kind of drifting into the river, and there was concern that it would collapse. Based upon that, they had to get a structural engineer involved, which ended up with Helicon piers. I'll have him explain what that is, but they have to drive these piers 60 feet into the ground to stabilize the structure. And that really delayed the actual project for about 12 months, a little bit more than 12 months. So after getting all the soil testing, doing all of the structural work, getting all of that work done to solidify the foundation, they were then again allowed to move forward with the project. In the interim, you did approve his license for 2023 to 2024. He had final engineering work. Because of the delay, the city had changed its permitting process, and the permits were then reviewed by the state of Wisconsin. And so there were some changes in the plans, so he had to then his contractor had to submit those plans to the state. The state then had to review them. There's a delay when that happens, and there was back and forth with the state. So then that gets us to July of 2024. The final plans were finally conditionally approved by the state, submitted to the city. Again, then in July of 24, you did renew the license again for another year. And then I've got some other information on there. There was sewer work completed. There's been rough plumbing. New floor joists were required. That was another change. He did apply for this facade grant through the city, and that was granted. So again, the city is invested in this property as well. There was some water that was discovered in the basement in January of this year. And then there was some discussion with the city as to the plans. They had perhaps expired because 1 year went by. The city then worked with Mr. Gaiman and said they understand that the plans were approved in July of '24. So these plans are effective through 2026. So I'll let the contractor speak. It's anticipated that this project will be done by November 2025. Obviously, the substantial delays from this significant catastrophic issue with the foundation is why he has not been open for business. He has spent in excess of $380,000 thus far. $165,000 extra was the cost of all this foundational work and the testing and the soil examination, et cetera. He's got $622,000 left to spend. Like I said, he's got this facade grant. The city has been in favor of this project. And so he's asking that you would just renew this license again. And I will let the contractor speak to that, and then Mr. Gaiman is here to answer any questions. But he's very, I mean, he wants to go forward with this. He's put his money behind this project. He intends to spend a lot more money on this project. And it was just unfortunate that they found this foundation. And we know, I think, when you open up these old buildings, you don't know what you're gonna find. And this was just a worst case scenario. And it really did set him back 14 months. So with that, I'll turn it over. John, if you could just introduce yourself and explain the process and why.
I think you hit it right on the head. So, my name is John Schmidas. I own Rayland Contractors. Been doing this for 25 years now. Mike he pretty much hit it right on the head. So, we had some significant delays, but we're at the point now with the new floor system being installed. We have all the building materials on site to continue. Now, I apologize to Chad, the owner, because my schedule, I'm booked out for a year and a half to 2 years with my business, and I had that slot for him a year and a half ago. We can get back up there to finish the project here very shortly. I told him we're probably looking at a October, November finish completion date. It could be quicker because the major work is done already. But we did have materials delivered, and now he's just waiting on me to get my crews up here to finish the project. So, be happy to answer any questions, but the timeline pretty much spells everything out.
I'll make a motion to recommend non-renewed liquor license since he's put so much work and effort into with the unknown
To renew it.
to renew it.
Okay, yep.
I'd second that motion.
Right.
All right, so there's a motion and a second to renew the liquor license, and this will advance to our next meeting.
Yes, so it's not on the agenda for the council meeting today because we didn't know what the recommendation would be, so it'll just be on, it would just be on consent agenda next meeting.
On May 19th. Just would like to give you my thoughts. Chad, certainly always appreciate your investment in West Bend. We can't wait for this project to be done. I know you're gonna do great things there, and that's kind of where the hesitation was on this license was, we only have so many of these licenses, and if you're not gonna operate with the license, then we're not gonna let you just hang on to it forever. So appreciate you bringing your contractor and James with you tonight to explain the situation. I guess the only thing I would ask is if something changes and you don't intend on using the license, let us know, because there are other people out there. Like I said, there's limited numbers of these licenses, but also certainly don't want to non-renew this and then have you come back a year from now and pay another 10 grand. That's not the right thing to do.
I appreciate that.
So,
And I would absolutely let you know if there was anything changes, but I don't foresee any of that, so.
great. Yeah. Thank you for being here tonight. Motion to approve. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Our licensing board is adjourned.
Good evening. I have like to call the Board of Public Works. We have three items on the agenda. Item number one, the approval of minutes from the regular meeting, April 21st.
Motion approved.
Alderman Seitz,
Second.
Alderman Schmidt, and who's second? Alderman Sing Sign. Are there any questions or corrections? There are none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 2, award contract 2502, Regner Park Labyrinth Garden Parking Stalls. Good evening, Mike.
Good evening, John. Good evening, everyone. This evening, our department is requesting approval to award contract 25-02, Regner Park Labyrinth Garden Parking Stalls, and award the contract to BMCI Construction of Wisconsin. Their bid is $34,185. With contingency, the total project cost is $35,560. The pre-bid estimate for the project was $34,000. Funding for the project would include $10,500 from the 2025 CIP funds, $23,500 in carry forward CIP funds from previous years, and $1,560 for operating funds. The project includes the construction of 2 accessible parking stalls along the Main Street entrance in the Regner Park, right by the Labyrinth Garden. Thank you.
Any question? Do we have a motion on the floor?
Motion to approve.
Alderman Sternick, second. Alderwoman Sicer. Any questions for Mike? There are none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Item number 3, award contract 2504, sidewalk repairs. Good evening, Max.
Good evening, thank you. This item is to award our annual sidewalk repair contract. We bid this contract every year to address sidewalk issues throughout the city. Several years ago, we started using a group system so that we can award the contract different areas. What happened one year is that the concrete prices were so high during the zoo interchange reconstruction that we could not bid the contract because the amount was so high. So since then, we've been separating by areas so that we could award a combination of areas as we go and still do some sidewalk repairs if we experience something like that. So this year's contract had 7 areas. Their area 7 is a sidewalk in front of the F Street development along Water Street. The city had committed to the developer to build this sidewalk once they were done with constructing their buildings. We were set to have this done under this contract, but they reached out a few weeks ago and asked us if they could do it themselves. Eventually, the city would reimburse them for the cost. So the city agreed to that, and therefore we will ask you to award this contract for areas 1 through 6 only, and the developer will take care of area 7. The bids were received on April 4th, and were open. We received 2 bids, which are summarized in the memo. Forward Contractors was the low bidder, the apparent low bidder when we opened the bids. Forward Contractor, we have a history with them. We had some issues with them back in 2021, and so they had bid previously on other projects throughout the years. They were not low bidder all the time. They were a low bidder one time before today, and we checked with them to see if they had improved their process and if they had completed projects in other municipalities that are similar to our contract, our annual contract. Back in 2023, the result of that investigation showed that we were not confident that they had improved enough to come back and work in the city, so we did not award to them at this point. This year again, they are the apparent low bidder, so we did the same thing, contacted some of their references they gave us, asked them for information on what they improved in their company, whether it's equipment or labor, etc. Unfortunately for them, this year again, we found that we are not confident that they can accomplish their work the way the city wants it. So based on all this, we would recommend that contract 2504 be awarded to BMCI Construction, which is the second company who was bidding on this project. in the amount of $123,990 per the unit prices listed in their bid, and a contingency fund of about 5.65% for a total allocation not to exceed $131,000. BMCI has done work in the city under several contracts over several years, and based on our experience with them, we believe they can accomplish that contract per the city specifications.
Do you have a motion?
Well, let me.
Ian, go ahead.
I just want to speak to, because we don't, again, have to address the issue of not accepting the lowest bid on very often. I think there's the forward contractor and possibly one or two others, like we had it for the tree surety one year. But under the statutes, there is a procedure, or it isn't a guarantee that just because somebody is the lowest bidder, that they are entitled to the contract. There's a procedure within Section 6215, which is the public construction bidding laws, that allow for the Board of Public Works to make the recommendation to council when they find somebody who was the apparent low bidder to be not, as they phrase it, as the incompetent bidder for the project. There's also case law out there, because I know, again, we've received various email communications from the principal of forward construction. To put everybody's mind at ease, there's case law out there that basically says there's no entitlement to it, and because this is a discretionary decision of the Common Council, there's basically no real cause of action to sue the city for a determination to, grant a contract to the secondary bidder who, when they determine the primary to be not the competent low bidder. Obviously, there's probably exceptions where if it was, Max's brother or something like that, that it would be a problem. But, so fraud and that type of stuff would be a different discussion. But in this case, there is no liability to the city in making any determinations, so.
Okay, thank you, Ian. Do we have a motion? Alderman.
Question for Max. So, Max, just not to get it too far into the weeds, but what are some of the concerns that you had about this contractor that led you to your decision?
So the concerns that we had were responsiveness of the contractor, which we experienced on our own contract that they had that year. They had two contracts that year. One where they were struggling all along. We had to chase them a lot. Our inspector had to chase them. I was on site myself several times. And the sidewalk contract is one that shouldn't require that much effort for inspection. Our director of public works was out there several times fixing traffic control that was not installed properly. We reached out to the contractor, but he could, he's not living in West Bend, so by the time he comes over, so Doug took care of fixing some things. The quality of the work was not up to par. And the second contract they had that year, they didn't have the workforce to get it done, so we had to cancel the contract altogether in the fall. So those were the points that I was asking them to respond to. Did they get more employees? Did they get employees that are qualified? And then I don't know about their equipment. And when I talked to other communities, some of them were saying, well, they did okay. One of them said, well, they did okay, but they didn't finish the job. We had to finish it ourselves. There were different issues with his crews, etc. So not the same crew coming, like one crew's coming one day and then the second crew's coming to finish the next day. They're not really sure what they were doing. So basically, those communities had really to hold the contractor's hand a lot during the project to make it successful. So we went through that. We have the concern, and I asked in 2023, because he had the contract in 21, so I asked, what did you do in the 2 years after that? And then So I contacted those communities, and now that he came back this year, I asked him, okay, so what have you done since 2023? And I contacted the new set of references he provided.
Thank you, Max. So I think those are legitimate concerns.
Well, and Bill, one thing I'll note, in reviewing this with Max, one of the more troubling things for me is, and this goes back to the same thing in 2023, is the response we get whenever this comes up is, I don't understand why. I didn't do anything wrong. Like, there's no acknowledgement of the issues that happened originally, and you can't remedy the issues if you don't not acknowledge it was an issue in the first place. And that has continued all the way through, where it's, well, I don't know why you keep turning down my contracts, or turning down my bids, so.
I think that's legitimate.
Motion to approve.
Alderman Sterling, second. Who was the second?
Second.
All right, Alderman Zingsheim. Max, I just want to comment, thank you very much for checking into this. I personally saw their work when they were working in 2021, and actually being with Public Works at one time and seeing what they were using and how they were doing it, I just shook my head. And I was hoping that maybe they got a little better, but as you checked into it, sounds like they're still a little bit behind the 8 ball yet. Maybe need a couple more years of experience to be part of this, but thank you very much for following up on it.
Sure.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor.
I do have one question, Max, and I don't know if this falls within this discussion or not because it's related to Zone 7 and just ensuring that by dropping it off of this and having discussions with the developer, we're not putting ourselves in a disadvantaged position from a financial standpoint for the work that's going to be done in Zone 7.
No, so we checked into that. The developer gave us the cost for their contractor to do it, and we compared that to the bid item that we have in our contract, and they were lower. And they know that the city will have reimbursed them up to the bid item. If they were higher, then we would just stay with the bid item, but they're lower, so that will be savings for the city.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, any other questions?
Do you remember how much that was, Max?
Yes, the contractors estimate for the developer's contractor was around 17,500. Our bids were at 27, 29.
Okay, so because we're below the 25,000 threshold, we're good as well.
That's fine. Thank you.
So I would actually recommend that we make the motion to approve 1 through 6 and reject 7. That make sense, Max?
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right.
Okay. All right, we have a motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
I thought Max did mention that it was 1 through 6.
Yeah.
It is. I think we should add in the
Oh, okay.
specific rejection of the bid for 7 just to make
All
sure.
right.
So should we go ahead and do a new motion for
Yeah,
zones 1 through 6, excluding 7?
and then rejecting the bid for 7, correct?
Okay.
Okay.
I'll take that as a friendly amendment.
All right. Any other questions? There are none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Max.
Thank you.
Being no further business before the Board of Public Works, I adjourn as chair.
I call to order a meeting of the Finance Committee. We have 3 agenda items this evening. The first one is approving the minutes from our regular meeting, April 21st, 2025. Can I entertain a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Thank you, Alderman Buchlick and Alderman Schmidt. Any corrections, additions, deletions? There being none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. A quick note that for items number 2 and number 3 in the Finance Committee packet, these did not show up due to a technical glitch. They are in the Common Council packet, so the verbiage will be there in the full council packet when we get to that, Chief. Item number 2 is resolution number 4, accept donations to the fire department.
Fortunately, these are really simple resolutions, so the resolution before you is to accept a donation. It was a $50 donation from a citizen, James Johnson, and this donation was specifically intended to go towards the smoke detector and carbon monoxide fund. that the newly promoted Division Chief Meyer has been doing his best to step up in Kenny's vacant footsteps and continuing on.
I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Alderman Butchlick and Alderman Zingsheim. Any questions for Chief? With gratitude for this donation, all those in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3, resolution number 5, accept donations to the Fire Department EMS.
Again, this resolution before you is to accept a $50 donation from Barbara Wheeler. Comes from the family of emergency medical call that we responded to. It sent us a nice card thanking us for our assistance on that day and a $50 donation that we very much appreciate. We are going to allocate this $50 to the equipment fund to buy new EMS equipment for the department.
Thank you, Chief. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
I'll go with a motion to approve from Alderman Sparts and a second from Alderman Schmidt, if that's all right.
That's fine.
All those in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much for your generosity. Thank you very much, Chief. Motion carries. With there being no further business before the Finance Committee, I adjourn as chair.
All right, we will reconvene our common council meeting and recognize the full quorum of our common council here with us tonight. Alderman Sparts on the teleconference with us. We'll pick up on approval of our minutes of our organizational meeting held on April 15th, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Alderman Sternig and Alderwoman Sizer. Any comments, questions, corrections? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Our next is our regular meeting minutes on April 21st, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Alderman Zingsheim and Alderman Schmidt. Any comments, questions, corrections? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries. Our consent agenda items are items 3 through 19 as published on the agenda tonight.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Alderman Zingsheim and Alderman, was that Berquist? Any comments, questions, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Our next item is a public hearing on our 2024 MS4 Annual Report and Stormwater Management Program. And Max will explain what this one is.
As part of our MS4 permit that we have through the DNR, which is a municipal separate storm sewer system, we have to do some actions for outreach to the public and education. And one of those action items is to hold a public hearing. We publish the permit after we do the report. There's a report that's due at the end of March every year. We publish it on the website. And then we're supposed to hold a public hearing to give the public a chance to make comments, although they can always email us and make comments as well. But we're supposed to take that action at council to satisfy the requirement of the permit. This is why I bring this to you tonight. I will quickly go through some of the action items we need to do with the permit. There's more detailed information throughout the memo and even more in the permit report itself. So we're supposed to do that public education and outreach actions like I mentioned. We have an illicit discharge detection and elimination program where we go out and make sure that stormwater going through our pipes, through our system, don't transport illicit components to the waters of the state. We have a construction site pollution control and post-construction stormwater management. So construction site, we do that under our contracts. We have our inspectors conduct the erosion control inspections for our contracts. The Department of Community Development does the erosion control on private development, so we cover both public and private projects. And the post-construction stormwater management is through our stormwater management permits, where we have those yearly inspection of every site that is permitted through the city. And then municipal stormwater pollution prevention is something that our Public Works Department helps with, and with street sweeping, leaf picking, catch basin cleaning, etc. And then we have another action, which is to satisfy the TMDL requirement. So that's the total maximum daily load. So we have a consultant who models for us how much pollutants we would be releasing in the waters of the state without any controls, and then they model with the controls, with the ponds, with the catch basin, et cetera, and they determine what percentage of that total we're actually retaining because we put these facilities in place. So again, this is a public hearing to satisfy the requirement of the permit, so I will step back and see if anybody from the public wants to comment.
All right, I will open the public hearing for our 2024 MS4 Annual Report and Stormwater Management Program. Again, this is a permit that the city obtains from the Wisconsin DNR, allowing for discharges from city-owned and operated storm sewer into waters of the state. So if anybody from the community would like to address the council here tonight, now is your opportunity.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Thank you, Alderman Zingsheim and Alderman Berquist. There's a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye, John. Any opposed? That motion carries. And I believe we do still need to take a motion on the annual report and stormwater management program itself. So I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Alderman Berquist and Alderman Zingsheim. Any questions in your packet? This all kind of starts on page 144, and Max has done a great job of explaining what the permit is, and then the programs, outreach and education and things on page 145, 146. So if you are interested in that, and then he's also got the link to the website where the program report is housed, and that's at the bottom of page 144. So again, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Max. All right, our last item tonight is an amendment to the National Guard lease agreement. Mr. Fellows.
This agreement you actually saw last fall and approved it. At that time, the National Guard, when we brought it to you, had said they were okay with it. Within a few weeks of the approval of the agreement from the city, their legal team decided they wanted to look at it again. I would describe the changes as minor and declarative in nature, but we felt that we should bring it back to you for you to reapprove it prior to getting signatures.
Motion to approve. Second.
Thank you, Alderman Sparts and Alderman Berquist. Any comments, questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on to our reports tonight. Our Deer Management Committee met on April 21st.
Yes, Deer Management Committee met April 21st in room 302 at 4 p.m. A deer removal recap of 2024-2025 was presented to the committee by Charles Lovell of District Supervisor, United States Department of Agriculture, and Mike Yens, Park Recreation and Forestry Director. An unmanned aerial vehicle survey 11 properties within the city of West Bend on November 19, 2024. A total of 239 to 250 deer were observed from all locations. Deers observed should be considered a minimum count, and the actual estimate likely slightly higher. It is not believed that deer were double counted at a particular park because surveys at each site were fairly short, and in most situations, a UAV did not cause deer to flee. Removal activities were conducted under a state nuisance permit issued by the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources to the city of West Bend. The removal efforts were conducted on January 2nd, 7th, 15th, 22nd, 29th, February 13th and 20th, and March 6th and 20th. A total of 83 deer were removed during those periods. 81 deer were taken to Leroy Meats in Fox Lake and processed in ground venison burger. Two deer were donated to the Department of Natural Resources for a deer processing program. Chip was happy to comment that there were no negative incidents with the public or recorded by camera. On April 8th, the city of West Bend donated 2,400 pounds of ground venison to the Full Shelf Food Pantry and will be offered to no cost to qualified individuals or families. The Deer Management Committee voted to continue with November and December 2025 UAV surveys. The committee will wait after the fall survey whether to continue the 2026 abatement program. Mike Gens, Director of Public Work, Park, Recreation, and Forestry Department, mentioned that the 2024 and 2025 deer management program was very successful. We will again pursue a urban wildlife damage abatement grant from the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, which we've done every year, and we've received a couple of those grants within the last 4 or 5 years. That is it.
Great, thank you. Parks and Rec Commission met on April 24th. Alderwoman Sizer.
Yes, they did. Park and Rec met on April 24th. Commission elections were held first. Mike Weston was reelected as chairman, and Craig Walker was reelected as vice chairman. Mike Gens reviewed the quarterly expense report, highlighting the expense primarily for the work on Rolf's Dog Park. Solar lights were installed there. And then there were all the department reports, very lengthy, so I'm going to shorten and just pick out a few points. Conservation Supervisor reported that, a reminder, first of all, the upcoming plant sale is May 10th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the 37th year for that event. Summer camps will begin soon. They run from June through August, and an extra week has been added to each month for the high demand for these camps. The Parks Project Manager reported that the Nature Playground is working on a final landscape restoration, and the goal is to complete in June. Trees, 210, will be planted in parks and city streets. They expect to complete that by the end of May. And the Wingate Park Playground, the project this year, the Volunteer Build project, is scheduled for August 9th. The Recreation Supervisor's report included Aquaglide information. The Aquaglide inflatables and the accessories were delivered on April 23rd. Installation is set for May 12th, and Aquaglide is sending at least one representative to assist on site from May 19th to the 20th at no charge. Tickets are available online. Several group visits have already been scheduled, and they've had a number of other inquiries. The Parks and Rec, or Park and Forestry Superintendent, reported, of course, Regner Pond was excavated. Staff set all the anchors and the mooring lines for